Hey everybody, we are live from Sadlax Heroes in Raleigh, North Carolina, and we are the HoneyBadgers field team. And over the course of the past few weeks, we have been looking into the struggles of local artists and local musicians, and we mainly focused on Noliboo and Method to Madness, which are two really interesting local artists that have their struggles and have their good points. So, we hope this is an enlightening experience for you, and enjoy. What's up, guys? We are live at the Deep South Bar in Raleigh, North Carolina to do an interview for Com 267. Anyway, we're here with Method to Madness stars Kevin Griffin on the drums, Mike Waddell on the bass, and Michael Rogers on the guitar. And we're gonna go over some of the struggles, the triumphs, just everything that's awesome about the local performing artists. So how would you describe the scene right now, the local scene, like around the Triangle?
I would say that the scene is it's pretty good. It's always kind of has its ups and downs, but right now I think we're seeing a good uphill climb thanks to places like the Deep South, places that are very band friendly and very music friendly.
What do you think the most popular genre in the scene is? I think it's like progressive rock like you guys are. You think it's heavy metal like one of your other projects was?
I mean, there's all kinds of bands out there. Actually, I'm jamming with an old school jazz group, like kind of the loungy, the jazzy stuff.
The chill, feel good music.
Yeah,
it's always nice.
So there's all kinds of stuff out there. I mean, you can find just about anything. I mean, they call themselves Old Timey band in Sanford, and they play with an upright bass and just a cajon and acoustic guitars. But you can get from that all the way up to, there are lots of DJs that do drum and bass music and things like that. Right. So I mean, it really, a lot of people don't think of North Carolina as being the most eclectic of states. But musically, there's so much going on, and a lot of people don't even realize that there's
whatever
there's
you're into, you can probably find somewhere that has that type of music.
What's the name of your band? Like, how do you actually pronounce it, and what's your main role?
It's Noliboo, Oulipo. I'm the guitar player mainly. At one point, we were all from like the Raleigh area. Went to high school around here, and we're all in like bands that played together in various stages. And then towards the end of all of our respective senior years or wherever we were, all of our bands were kind of falling apart at the same time. So we were like, hey, let's these five, let's try that out. And then my first day at State, like literally the first day that I moved in to my first dorm, was the first show that we played.
So how do you feel about the state of the independent scene? Is it like steady? Is it going uphill? Is it going downhill?
I don't know. I think in different places there's different levels, different states that it's in. But in Raleigh and the Triangle in general, it's definitely booming right now, I think. And North Carolina as a whole, I would say so, at least in the college towns. There's so much like emphasis on like buzz and like kind of like sporadic, just like sudden, huge bursts of like growth rather than like a slow development. So sometimes you'll hear of bands, especially like some North Carolina acts and stuff, getting really, really, really popular really quickly and then just kind of like collapsing on themselves because they weren't ready.
So what do you think some of the most popular genres are in Raleigh? We talked to Method to Madness, and they're a progressive rock band, and obviously they have shows a lot. You have progressive rock. They mentioned metal is pretty popular.
Metal,
punk was dead for a while, but now it's getting a rebirth.
Yeah.
And what type of genre is Noliboo?
A lot of other bands, like I think the predominant scene in Raleigh is like a little bit more aggressive than maybe our band is.
Yeah.
Like metal, punk. There's like a huge hardcore scene too.
Oh yeah, that's Standard Live.
So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where we fit in exactly, but there's also, I mean, if you think of it as like the triangle as a whole, there's like a lot of people doing similar things.
Now, you guys have been together for 7 years. You guys did some prior stuff to get that together. You guys have known each other for a long time, but throughout that time, what were some of your like most, I wouldn't say problems, but I'll call them struggles?
Yeah, so for me specifically, you know, when you go from not having any children at all and, you know, just make music all you want, you know, when the first child comes, it's like, okay, now it's not just this little creature I can't just, oh, good luck.
Nice.
If you want to eat, you know.
And we kind of decided to rule a long time ago, and obviously it takes a little give and play. I know that there are some other bands without knocking Mike that wouldn't deal with, oh, you have kids and you can't make a rehearsal, you know, you're gone or whatever. But at the same time, I feel like I'm weird and kind of strange to get along with in a creative aspect, and I can be just really scatterbrained. So I feel like, well, that's the compromise he's making for me, is the fact that he puts up with me, that he's patient with me.
Yeah.
So the least I can do is be patient with him. And the same thing with Mike. I mean, we've played music together for 20 years now, or close to it. And you know, there are definitely the points where you get really, really worked up about a song and, no, I want this part, and you're not changing it for anything, and I hate you, and you're gonna die. And you have to figure out the more political way to stay around that, because there are a lot of bands that as soon as it comes to writing, they're gone. They can't deal with each other. And we had to figure out the code word to make sure that we don't kill each other in the band room. When we get to that point where we're irritated with each other, it's just like, okay, you know, we need to step back, take a breath, go take a break, and we'll come back
Take
to
a
it.
smoke break, you know.
So, I mean, it can be challenging, but at the same time, you've got to be willing to want to continue making music with, you know, Mike as a guitarist or Mike as the bass player.
So what do you think some of your most famous accomplishments are? I think it's releasing 2 albums? Or?
Well, yeah, definitely. That's been 2 very large accomplishments. You know, the first album was, you know, we were just so ready to get something recorded.
Right.
It was the first album any of us had ever done for any band.
And have something to put out there that we were just, you know, we're going for it. And that album, we had a lot of technical issues with that album, getting it done. But, you know, it came out well, and we're happy with it. And then the new album, which was a very large accomplishment because it was a big undertaking.
Right.
You know,
Concept album.
it was a concept album. It's 15 tracks, and you know, it's a long album. So, you know, it took us a long time to do it and get it to where we were ready to put it out. And we've been getting some positive reviews and stuff from magazines across the pond, which is great because not only we have a local scene, we have also are getting stuff from around the world as well.
2 good reviews. And 2 good reviews from, you know, progressive rock magazines. So yeah, I think that's pretty huge for us. People calling us out of the blue from United Kingdom is pretty awesome.
How do you market yourself as a small band, and what role does social media kind of play into this? And how would you get contacted?
It's huge, and at the same time, it's a little disheartening for me personally, because it's very easy to go on Facebook and, oh yeah, I like this band.
Yeah.
But then that's the end of the action, and it's just like, you know, if you really want to support a band, you have to go out and you have to listen to them and you know, show up at the shows, because that's a big thing for us as well as any band.
Buy their CDs, you know, that's
A lot of bands get swept under the table, or or you know,
Look past.
because everybody can get online and put their music out now. It's tough, so you know, if there's anything that I could tell people is get out and support.
Get out and
You
support.
know, your favorite bands, go out and see them.
Go to places like Deep South Park.
We can, you know, we have a Reverb Nation page. We have Facebook page,
MySpace for those.
MySpace,
Didn't know y'all on Twitter.
Twitter, and just our regular method-to-madness.com webpage. And there's links to all the other pages there.
What are some of the challenges of just being local to Raleigh? How do you overcome them?
There's not a lot of small, like really small venues that aren't like houses, and so like I know my music isn't really conducive to playing in like a really, really small environment. We kind of need like a big sound system that can really push a lot of sound.
5 members.
And so I know when I was starting, there was like, with my old band and all of our respective old bands, we were playing at like the brewery a lot and the Berkeley Cafe, and both of those places. Brewery's been closed for years now. Berkeley Cafe is just now closing, so that's one challenge. Is that, and one area where I think Raleigh has like a big market right now is like a kind of smaller, more intimate venue, because they have all the huge ones, obviously, like the big outdoor amphitheaters and whatnot. Now they have King's Barcade, which is an incredible like club, medium size, and the theater is really great too.
Right.
But there's not a lot of like entry level kind of things. So I think sometimes it's hard to like develop a reputation because you're not necessarily big enough to play some of those big clubs immediately.
Yeah. You just mentioned King's Barcade, which was actually where you guys just finished up a 2-week tour at.
Yeah.
How was that?
That was
pretty awesome.
That was the most awesome show ever. It was so good.
Nice.
King's is just my favorite venue ever, probably. But it's in Raleigh especially. It's kind of where we've like learned how to be a band. We've played so many shows there, and so many of them were like really, really bad when we were starting out. But now we've kind of like
gotten into that.
Have figured out, and that place especially is like a home to us, kind of. And so it felt really good to end the 2-week tour.
Right.
There. Yeah.
What were some of the most difficult things you had to do in
The booking
the
process.
tour?
The most difficult thing is just getting people to respond, honestly.
Yeah.
Especially when you don't have any traction in specific areas. We were playing like Providence, Rhode Island. We didn't know anybody there. We were playing. And then also like going up to Brooklyn for a couple days. There's obviously tons of people, a lot of people that we've met in Brooklyn, but not enough to warrant like Brooklyn. It's just such a huge place with tons of shows.
Well, yeah,
happening all the
Brooklyn.
time.
It's
It's like a mecca, especially for the kind of music that we're making. So it's kind of challenging. It's knowing people, and some of the other guys in our band run an art space up in Asheville.
Yeah.
And so they've developed a really tight community with people who are doing a similar thing, and so we were able to kind of float from place to place that were like-minded with the kind of stuff that they're doing in Asheville. Having like any sort of solid, like it's taken us years to even have a pretty solid presence in Raleigh, and now we have a pretty solid one in Asheville and around North Carolina in general. But that's taken years and years of just like people now kind of recognizing the name and being, oh, what do they sound like? I've seen that name all over the place for like 3 years on like posters. So that's one thing. But I mean, as far as like breaking into a new place, it just takes really playing one show with somebody else, and then you have at least their connection, and usually they can give you their whole slew of connection.
Well, everyone, thank you for watching this project of us videotaping and looking at local musicians. We've looked at Noliboo and we've looked at Method to Madness, and we really captured what their struggles are what their good points are, what the good experiences are. It's mainly good, but there are always some negatives to go along with that. Anyway, we hope that through this you can understand that it takes more than a like on Facebook or a follow on Twitter to really support the band. It takes buying a t-shirt or liking or buying their CD to accomplish supporting the band. More than just a like. So give these guys some support, show up to their concerts at places like this, buy their CDs, buy the merchandise, do everything you can to follow these guys, and be good. HoneyBadgers out.
Sorry.